Greetings, welcome back to another edition of Summer Music Fun Madness at Electric Avenue. Thanks for joining me. This is the update for August. What day is it? August 5th, 2022. We just keep trucking along. So I got a lot to get to today. You would think like early August gonna be sleepy. I'm telling you, there's just always stuff now. Um, so the big news this week regarding reissues, I think. Well, one of the big there's several, but one thing that's very exciting is that those of you who did not want to buy the entire David Bowie '90s box set, you are now able to get all of those albums, the studio ones anyway, as individuals. So this is the Toy album, and I've talked about this before in past videos, but this was the one that Bowie was working on about the time that he was going through a label shift from EMI over to Sony, and yeah, this was Heathen was the period, and this is mostly, well, it's all cover songs, I think, except for one that were songs that he was working on at the time with his band, and it's actually really great. There's songs of mostly like 60s kind of things that he was inspired by early on, and it's just an album that was never released until last year, and it came out in box set forms, whether it was in the big box or on its own in a box, and now you can get it as just a double LP, which is nice. Another great album. I mean, there's a lot of great albums of his in the 90s. I find his 90s period very underrated. This is Black Tie, White Noise. This was his first album to come out in the 90s, and he'd just come off a very sort of turbulent time in the mid-late 80s where his career was kind of sort of in the dumps as far as the critical acclaim went, and he needed some sort of rejuvenation and boost. And Black Tie, White Noise, while it didn't completely do the job at first, is actually a really good album. I went back and listened to it recently, and I think this album is extremely underrated. Most of the production was him. Well, it was all him and Nile Rodgers, the guys that did Let's Dance. And while it doesn't have any of the like killer singles that like Let's Dance did, it has a lot of really good songs. Some of them are covers, some of them are originals. And I particularly like his versions of Night Flights, which is a Walker Brothers, Scott Walker song, and I Know It's Gonna Happen Someday, which was a Morrissey Smith song. I know that that's controversial saying Morrissey now, but it wasn't really a Smith song, it was a Morrissey song. Also, and that's when they were more friendly with each other. I Feel Free, a Cream song, is on here as well. But, I mean, the Jump They Say was a song about his brother who committed suicide, I believe, on a train track. And Black Tie, White Noise, he was joined by Albie Sure, if anybody remembers who that guy is. But that was a very kind of socially conscious, kind of racial, addressing racial themes. The song that really got me recently that I was listening to was Don't Let Me Down and Down. I thought that that's a really great, and I think that that's also a cover song. But anyway, go check out Black Tie, White Noise. Outside, another great album from that period. This is probably a top 5 album of his for me, maybe top 3 even. This came out after Black Tie, and he taken a couple years to kind of get this together. This was going to be part 1 of a trilogy that was a concept about a serial killer, and he was playing not only the private investigator, but there were spoken interludes throughout the album where he was kind of having his voice manipulated and playing different characters. But the songs themselves are really great, and he goes in a kind of a more of a jazz rock direction. This was when he was touring with Nine Inch Nails. It's sort of the beginning of that. But songs like Strangers When We Meet are kind of like upbeat, sort of. And then you get things like Hello Space Boy or The Heart's Filthy Lesson, which are a little more Nine Inch Nails leaning. But really, really solid album. And I don't know why it doesn't get. It seems to be getting more critical praise lately than it did at the time. Buddha of Suburbia. This was a soundtrack that he did around that same time. Had a guest appearance from Lenny Kravitz on the title track. Really, it's mostly a instrumental album. There's some vocals, and they've changed the cover. This is not the original cover, but it's much better than what the original cover was, which was a something from the film. But anyway, I would check that out if you're interested in like Low and Heroes and stuff like that. That kind of plows that path a little bit more. Maybe not quite so ambient. Another great record he had out then, Earthling, finally out on. Now this has been out. So a lot of these have been out on vinyl before, whether they came out through Friday Music or Music on Vinyl. But these are the Warner Brothers or Parlophone pressings that they've done recently, and from all accounts, they sound really great. So this was the one with I'm Afraid of Americans, which actually this version on here is a little different than the one that most people know because Trent Reznor took it and remixed it, and that's the version from the video. So anyway, and then the sixth one from that era, Hours, which this is a little more of a dialing back, sort of a pastorally kind of sound at times, and more conventional rock, which sort of led more towards what he would sort of do sonically with Heathen and Reality. But this is really great too. It's got Thursday's Child, Survive, Seven. Another solid Bowie record. And it's a really great period for him, kind of artistic reassessment, and not just going for the hit singles, but still being very Bowie and kind of changing his look and sound from album to album. It's great. Okay, so the big sort of solo or single release of the week, I suppose, is Neil Young and Promise of the Real. This is Noise and Flowers live concert from 2019. This is the box set edition, which is 2 LPs, a CD, and a live Blu-ray. It about doubles the price of the vinyl on its own. So if you want the vinyl on its own, that's available too. So yeah, Promise of the Real, that's Willie Nelson's son, Lucas. All right, and in another box of the week, McCartney 1, 2, and 3. So what is this, you say? This basically rounds up the Paul McCartney albums that are called 1, 2, and 3. 1 being from 1970, 2 from 1980, and 3 from 2020. And he's tried to kind of market this as some sort of trilogy. I mean, I don't really get that necessarily from the songs themselves. I understand that, he basically played pretty much everything on these albums, and that's sort of the thematic connector. But anyway, that's kind of one for collectors more than anything, I think. It's not really like, hey, here's new McCartney material. It's not really. But it is. There are collectors out there. Other new releases this week, The Interrupters. So this album, In the Wild, well, their last record really took off. It was a live record, and we did really good business with it. And I think the Interrupters are kind of on the precipice of becoming a big thing if they haven't already. So this is the limited color vinyl edition of that. A band we haven't heard new material from in a long time, Primus. And this is Conspiranoid. I always get that title wrong. This is actually, they say it's more of an EP. It's white vinyl. 3 tracks. Side 1 is 11 and a half minutes. Side 2 is like 8 minutes. So And the price is sort of reflective of that. It's not super expensive or anything, but been a long time for Primus. I think some fans were probably like, "You've been gone so long, and all you can give us is 3 tracks." Well, whatever. What can I say? Glass Animals. So this has been out before, but this is the collector's edition of Dreamland, the very popular album from last year. It had gone out of print mainly, and then this is sort of a reissue or second pressing already, but features Heat Waves, big hit for them, and this is on 180 gram glow in the dark vinyl. Ural Thomas and the Pain, Dancing Dimensions. So Ural Thomas, soul guy from like the South, I believe. At least I think he's based in like Louisiana or New Orleans, something like that. But he's been around for a while. Sort of came to my ears through the Lost Horizons album that came out last year. That was on Simon Raymond of Cocteau Twins album record label Bella Union, and it was all a bunch of artists that he'd put together. Each one did a different song. There were like 20 songs on it, or I don't know, maybe at least 16. And he was one of the featured vocalists, and a great voice. Kind of reminded me a little bit of like Terry Callier's work on Massive Attack's "Live With Me." So if you're kind of looking for an older soul voice, that might be up your alley. I need to hear the album still, just like you guys. T-Bone Burnett's latest release, Invisible Light Spells. And I think he's doing a whole series of these things, kind of a second volume of Trip Visualist music. I don't think that this is on that special vinyl or anything that T-Bone came up with, but it's on Verve Records, and I think there's a fair amount of instrumentation or instrumental stuff on there, but correct me if I'm wrong, I guess. Put something in the comments. Health. So a lot of people have been waiting for this. I think this is their album, collection of 2 albums, really. Was the Disco 4 series, parts 1 and 2. This is the white vinyl, limited to only 1,000, so these are going to go fast, I think. Featuring 9 Inch Nails, Lamb of God, 100 Gex, Poppy, Full of Hell, and more. So I think they were touring with 9 Inch Nails, so that's sort of how they came to prominence. One record that I don't know how people are going to respond to it. I think it sort of depends on how you feel about John Anderson, maybe, or Dan Auerbach, but this is John Anderson tribute. He was a country guy, called Something Borrowed, Something New. And I suppose other than being on a cool color vinyl there, look, Walmart exclusive. Why do we get these things? I have no idea. Anyway, maybe they made too many for Walmart and they're like, oh, give some to the indie stores. It's a bunch of BS, man. All right, so anyway, I mean, it's nice to have it, but do I need a Walmart sticker on my record in the store? I'm not Walmart. Anyway, it's got people, this is like I said, Dan Auerbach of Black Keys produced this. It's got people on it: Sturgill Simpson, Nathaniel Rateliff, John Prine, Del McCoury and Sierra Hull, Tyler Childers, Eric Church, Brent Cobb, Luke Combs, Jamie Johnson, Ashley McBride, Gillian Welch, and Dave Rawlings. A lot of big names there. So, and Dan Auerbach produced it, so you might, if you're a Black Keys fan, although it probably is too country for you if you're a Black Keys fan, but hey, give it a shot. Def Leppard's Adrenalize. They also released Euphoria, but Adrenalize is the only one I have right now. And this is probably their last big album before the 90s sort of took over. And look, Joe, still rocking the big hair there. Let's Get Rocked. Make Love Like a Man. Heaven Is. Have You Ever Needed Someone So Bad? I mean, sort of like the last Imperial phase Def Leppard singles there. Can I use that term with them? I guess, yeah. Mavis Staples and Levon Helm. This finally is coming out on vinyl, and this is Carry Me Home. And I haven't heard this yet, but people tell me Mavis really rocks it. She's probably the bigger presence on that record. So, hey, a couple of reissues that I'm really excited about. One of them is Beth Orton's Trailer Park. This is sort of an expensive import, I have to say, but this was a great album, her first solo record on vinyl. It had some collaborations with, well, at the time, I think she was kind of hanging out with the Chemical Brothers, so it's a little bit more. It's definitely still folky. It does not go into like club music or anything, but this is pressed on Diner Blue color vinyl. And then probably an even bigger album, the second one, Central Reservation. And this is pressed on Pillar Box Red vinyl. And this is the one with Stolen Car, which was kind of a big hit for her. And I can't remember who produced this. I think it was someone big. I don't think she'd started working with Ryan Adams yet on that one. But anyway, those are great albums. And she's got a new one coming out in September. And man, the first single blew my mind. I thought it was really great. It's a little bit more thinking outside of the box for her, I think. Hey, Chris Isaak, Heart-Shaped World. Oh my God, what a classic this is. Look at Chris back then. The guy was a killer. And he had a great show. This is the RSD Essential exclusive white vinyl edition. This has Wicked Game. These are not going to be around for very long, people. So it is a great album for him. And really sort of a breakthrough. Sold quite a bit on CD, mainly at the time. Wow. Aaliyah, 1 in a Million. So they're finally starting to put out these Aaliyah records. Blackground Records has finally come to some sort of terms with the family, and this is the first. This is the one with 1 in a Million, If a Girl Like You. If Your Girl Only Knew. Whoa, what a great song that was. And yeah, there's definitely more to come. I've got a bunch of stuff on order. I know her singles collections are coming out. It's been like kind of an empty hole in the R&B catalogs that none of her stuff was out on vinyl, and terrible, untimely death of her. I can only imagine what she would have been doing by now, but there's other people on her label too that are putting out records because they were on Blackground. So I think there's some JoJo, Toni Braxton, even Ashley Parker Angel. If you're interested in any of those things, you probably have to let me know, because I think we'll probably only be carrying Aaliyah in the store. But another band that's sort of got a reputation, Britney Fox. And this is their record, Bite Down Hard, which was probably their most critically acclaimed record, I guess, with Six Guns Loaded was the first song on it. Had guest appearances from Zakk Wylde and Ricky Rocket. This is on clear and brown splatter vinyl. There are not many of these out in the world, I don't think, so if you want it, you better grab it fast. Same thing with Lamb of God's this is their debut? Sacrament. It's one of their early records. Their legendary gold album, 15th anniversary, back on vinyl, first time since 2006. Features 3 live bonus tracks. Exclusive red vinyl, limited to 1,000 for AEC, which most of you would go, what the heck is AEC? Why did they put that on the label? Alliance, they're a distribution company. It's weird that that's on the label. Okay, let me go down. I've got just a few things left here. Last week I didn't have it, and now I do. Hey, Beyonce, Naked on a Horse. Renaissance. This is actually a really good album. I was listening to it over the weekend, and I mean, yeah, there's a lot of probably unnecessary MFing going on, but you hear people like Janelle Monáe who really are just as cool and don't necessarily need to do that to hold on to their audience, but she is married to Jay-Z, so I guess she got to bring a little bit of the hood there. But anyway, it's a good album. I like how the songs kind of start in one place and go someplace completely different or unexpected. And I highly recommend Virgo's Groove. I think that's a great song. and Pure Honey and Summer Renaissance are very cool songs to end it with. There's been so much controversy over changing the lyrics. And Lizzo did the same thing with her album, where a certain word was taken as a kind of a slur, and then they're like, "We're going to learn from it, and we're going to change it." I think that's great. But what I will say is, those of you that buy physical product, you should probably get out there and buy these CDs and buy the vinyl of. Well, this hasn't come out on vinyl yet; it's late September, but I'm sure that they're probably already made. And the Lizzo ones are made and out on the shelf, and those things are going to be collector's items. I mean, yeah, are you collecting them because there's like words that maybe they don't want to say anymore on there? I guess, but whatever, they're still collector's items. That's going to be like the way that you tell the first pressing from what comes next. So, got to get on that. Okay, another thing I mentioned last time, I showed these Grateful Dead Live at the Lyceum CDs. Cool. It's like four shows from that era. I guess what I was mentioning was that, oh, this seems like a record store day thing, unknowing to me that Grateful Dead, their website, had already been selling this or peddling this as a vinyl edition. $550 for 24 records, or $40 for 4 CDs. Now I can understand why they weren't selling it anyplace but through their website, but come on, guys. I mean, that's like, there are really not that many people that can afford that sort of thing unless you're buying Grateful Dead and nothing else. So, anyway, that's just 2 cents. But for those of you that have those sets and can afford them, my hat goes off to you, and maybe you want to spread the love with some people who might not be able to afford them. A great guy, Tim Bonus. He was in the band No Man, which sort of existed off and on for a while. They might still be. He was in that with Steven Wilson of Porcupine Tree, and this is his most recent solo CD. I think it's out on vinyl too. This is the limited 2 CD, including alternate takes and outtakes, alternate mixes. Celebrating 40 years of making music, Tim Bonus returns with his 7th solo album featuring Ian Anderson, Nick Beggs, Peter Hamill, and more, mastered by Steven Wilson, and also produced, I think, well, mixed and mastered. He did some sort of production thing. Anyway, yeah, he didn't actually produce. He mixed and mastered. But anyway, check that out if you're into like. Most of you who would be into Tim Bonus would know that already. Reissue Bobby Gentry. There was a box set that came out a couple years ago that had, I think, 7 or 8 CDs in it. All of her solo records. This is highlights from that box set. Okay, so it's 2 CDs. You get 46 songs. $30. Some great material. If you never heard these things, you're into like cool Americana stuff. It's not really country music. I mean, there are elements of that, but there's also elements of jazz, and it's very interesting. You would know her from Ode to Billy Joe, probably. Jazz Funk Soul. This is a trio here. Everett Harp, Paul Jackson Jr., Jeff Lorber. That's on CD. Mickey Hart's Planet Drum. This is a new record. This is with Zakir Hussain. First album in 15 years. Okay, if you're following that. And last but maybe least in my book this week, Tool's Fear Inoculum on a 3 LP set. Those of you who've been following this channel and know that the box set for this album was a really big deal a few months ago. They had not announced this version at the time. They were being very hush-hush about it. And so now it's out there. I ordered exactly 1 in protest because I feel like they totally put one over on their fans and the stores that carry their product. And this is not the first time that they've pulled some sort of stuff like that. They think it's cute, obviously, to be capitalists while actually basically playing games and bilking people out of money. So that's no matter how you feel about the music, that's sort of how I feel on the business side of things. And it's frustrating to say the least. So, anyway, I still encourage people to buy the box set if you're going to get it because it actually is a much more beautiful package. And I think the value for the money for what it's selling for now is actually much better than this. But money talks, and if you only have $70, then maybe this is more up your alley instead of about double that. So, all right, that's enough. I've kind of said my 2 cents. Yeah, people are out there probably going, "Tell us how you really feel." So, this is a big seller last week. Was the Jethro Tull remaster, "Thick as a Brick." Steven Wilson did the mastering on that, half speed, or he did the mix. I'm sorry, he did the mix, not the master. I've been really sucked into YouTube lately on all these other guys out there interviewing mastering engineers, Jeff Powell, Chris Bellman, Kevin. His name is Kevin from the Blue Note stuff. Anyway, oh God, I talk about him all the time. Coherent Audio. Anyway, very interesting, and it's funny how a lot of these mastering engineers are becoming rock stars in and of their own accord. Bernie Grunman's. So anyway, check that out. You know, if you've got a few extra minutes, I'm learning some things I didn't really know, and they have some interesting stories to tell. All right, thank you very much, and get sucked get sucked into the YouTube verse, I suppose. Have a great day, and look, we're in August now, so back to school is coming up around the corner, and there are a lot of new things coming out. What they just announced, new Red Hot Chili Peppers album, second this year. Cure's Wish deluxe reissue. I think there's a lot of stuff that's about to get announced. So keep paying attention. Thanks for your time. Pushing a half an hour again, but I had to talk about Bowie. Had to. All right. Take care. Have a great weekend. Thanks, everyone. Be safe. And if you have been sick, take care of yourself.